we're releasing the second report at this latitude from the LDC. It is the Latinos in tech, specialized and focused on AI. Why? Because we all consume AI, and I can tell all of us in this room, and I'm sure LinkedIn Live people also consume it, and we're just excited. You'll hear the numbers, you'll hear the opportunity of the market of AI with Latinos. We're users, we're consumers, we're producers, but we're bringing a lot of opportunity of growth, and Guillermo and Nonny and Cristina are gonna release these incredible numbers here. Welcome. And with that, wait, very important. The reason why we can do this, the reason why we can have you here, the reason why we can distribute this report for free is that our wonderful partners from Wells Fargo, Cristina representing, Patty Juarez back there, everybody here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And with that, our wonderful partner, well, first of all, our board member and partner in this report, Guillermo Diaz Jr. He will tell you more about this.
All right, so give it up for Ana Valdez. The reason why she's the catalyst and the champion behind this whole thing. This is our 4th year that we're doing the Latinos in Tech report. And last year we pivoted, even before AI was a thing, we pivoted to AI. And with the help and the sponsorship of Wells Fargo, and now this year, with the power of the #1 innovation institute of higher education, Arizona State University, we have an amazing report. And don't do it now, but at the end of this, you'll have the hard copies back here. And I shouldn't have put the QR code here because everybody's probably looking at it right now. But this is a culmination of some very hard work. And if you don't believe me, ask my wife, who's in the room. She put up with me this whole time. So, give her a hug for me. So the other thing you need to know about that is if you look at the cover of that beautiful cover, everything that you see in this report, we're not just talking about AI. Everything in this report is built with AI. Wow. So you'll see that, and thanks to Oszie Tarula here for making that happen. So this is the power crew that will come up in a minute. This is the partnerships that made this happen with Ana Valdez as our champion, Christina Draper, the Chief Technology Officer with Wells Fargo, and Nonny de la Peña. You'll hear, if you don't know her, you have to know her. She's the best of the best. Arizona State University. They'll come up in a minute, but before we do that, I want to quickly just reiterate what Ana probably already told you this morning. If Latinos were an economy, we'd be the 5th largest economy in the world. And you could see the numbers there. We have the U.S., China, Japan, Germany, and then us, okay? Not just U.S., but us, the Latinos, yeah? And the second fastest growing among the 10 largest economies, only behind China. So this is, and you have to see the report that they've distributed this morning. I know that Ana was up probably at 3 a.m. trying to make all this happen, but this is the key. And what we want to talk about is now we're going to go deeper. It's like, okay, so what is driving all of that? You're going to see a lot of this and the role of Latinos as drivers, catalysts, champions, not pobrecitos or pobrecitas. We are the drivers of that, and you'll see it. You'll see it in the data. The data doesn't lie, right? So we're not talking about emotions or just diversity. We're talking about real economic impact. And so you'll see that in the charts that to follow here. Oszie, help me. Click. And so the world has changed. If you haven't heard about these two letters called AI, your head is in the sand. And it's happening globally. You could see the numbers, 72% over the last, just in 2024, and that's up from 20% adoption in 2017. And that's really driving us to, as a global economy, toward an impact of about $16 trillion of global economy driven by AI. Okay, so that's the global economy. But what does that mean to the United States? What does that mean to us in this room? Our youth, and Ana will also share a report around the Latino youth. Our youth, AI youth, use by Latino youth is over-indexed. Whether they're gathering information, creating images, making music. So it's not just about technology. Everything's about technology, but it's about the arts. It's about not just STEM, but STEAM. And you'll see it in the numbers here. And you can see, thanks to our Latino Business Action Network reports, that Latino-owned businesses, labs, over-indexed higher than white-owned businesses by double. So if you haven't seen that report, you have to go see that one as well. And we highlight that in this report. Let's talk about education to employment. This is that bridge. This is the real reason why you're going to see numbers like this. The STEM degrees, and we looked at AI as a degree program, and they're just starting to come out with new degree programs, certificate programs. So the closest proxy was STEM, computer science, and the sciences. So we went after that data, and you could see the numbers. We grew 180% in degree programs in computer science, which led to, and the more important part of that is Hispanics already working in AI. These are AI occupations that we studied. And you'll see here, in technical occupations, Latinos grew 58.7% between 2018 and 2022, and the rest of all of the country grew 25%. So Latinos are over-indexed also in the working occupations. And by the way, this is technical occupations. One other piece that's not in here right now is, you'll see it in the report, business, marketing, sales, those kinds of occupations, they grew 63%, where the rest of the country grew about 25%. So you'll see that as well. Now, this is really interesting here, and we'll kind of stop here because this is really important. If you looked at the GDP, we look at the overall GDP. Now, if you look at the GDP by state, and then you say, where are the Latinos at? Wow, those states get redder and redder. Now, if you say, where are the AI jobs? Where are the tech jobs? The heat map gets hotter and hotter. Or where are the data centers at? You could see the pattern. Where are the semiconductors with the CHIPS Act of 2022? All of these jobs are happening, and guess what? The Hispanic serving institutions, those that are skilling, upskilling, reskilling our community, they're in the same locations. So there's a key alignment there. And that's why it's so important that academia, business, not just, that we actually get the jobs, and the government all come together and align around this. And this is what we want to be able to talk about. But you're going to see that all this data is in that report. And it's only going to get better and better. So with that, I wanted to share sort of an overview. But more importantly, I wanted to bring up my partners in crime here. So Christina, please. Here. Ana Valdez, please. London.
Okay, it's all serious for you.
So, that one? So, we have to start with the big picture, Ana. So this morning you had a chance, I don't know if everyone in the room got to see, but tell us the why. Why are we talking about this? We're talking about technology, but there's a bigger picture here, and it really starts with the economic impact of Latinos. Can you give us a little bit of highlights of what you shared this morning and maybe connect it to what we're talking about with technology?
Absolutely. Thank you, G. This is, sorry. Hello. Okay.
So thank you, G. Of course, I would love to do that because it's the reason why we do this, right? It's the reason why the LDC exists. And it is that, there's a huge gap between the perception of who Latinos are in the United States, thanks to the rhetoric, unfortunately, and the reality of who Latinos are. And that gap has to be closed. That gap has to disappear, actually, so that people understand the opportunity that Latinos are bringing to this country. Latinos are givers. Latinos, exactly with the numbers that you just shared from the Latino GDP report, but also with this, Latinos are bringing and driving the growth in this country. If you don't know who Latinos are and how they purchase, how they produce, how they buy, how they their upward mobility, etc., how are you going to ride the wave of growth, right? So this report is really important, specifically in terms of AI and tech. As you well said, Latinos are there. Last year, we did a report with SHIP, the Society of Latino Engineers in the United States. Latinos in 2010 were 4% of all the engineering students in this country. By 2021, there were 16%. So the engineers are there. And why are we, inviting engineers from abroad if we have all these engineers here, right? So there's a need of connecting these two sources, important sources of growth and tech. And so this obviously extends to AI, and that's why we do this report, so that all of you and all Americans, because thanks to Wells Fargo, we are able to distribute this for free, all Americans know this growth, the numbers that you just shared, which is we are big consumers, we're big tech companies, exactly like entrepreneurs actually over-index, and people that are here are experts on it, know that Latino entrepreneurs are not only more than 50% of all the new businesses, but they also over-index in the use of AI. So that's why we do it. And there are many more reasons, but I think this is one of them.
So now you know when Ana tells you to do something, you kind of just do it, right? Christina.
Yes, hi G. Good
Hey,
morning.
how are you?
Buenos dias.
So first of all, first thing, tell us a little bit about you, and why you're here, why you're in the room. But more importantly, as a chief technology officer, you get to see at Wells Fargo, oh my gosh, you can imagine the number of transactions and things that you have to think about. So what you've seen here, why is this report so important? And why is AI so important to maybe your corporation and your business?
Thank you so much, G. It's such an honor to be here. I'm Christina Draper, and I have the honor of actually running the auto technology business for Wells Fargo, and that's a $43 billion business. And so I'm very, very happy to be here with my Latino familia.
with a B.
B, with a B. And we run the tech, so my team runs the tech. I am the daughter of two immigrants from Bogota, Colombia. Viva Colombia. I grew up in a fully Spanish-speaking home, so English is my second language. And I am very thrilled to be able to hold a seat here on this panel, but also to be able to hold a seat representing women in tech. And just 2 days ago, I celebrated my 23 years at Wells Fargo. And this has been a company that has seen me, seen my talents, and allowed me to rise. And so I think that's a critical part of my journey.
Can I just say
Yeah.
something? It's like, I think you just nailed the why. The why you're here is because you're the example. You're the ejemplo of what every young girl Latina wants to be.
Thank you.
So
Thank you,
thank
Jay.
you for that.
Thank you. So you asked me 2 more questions. So let me hit
I
those.
even forgot the questions. I'm so emotional right now.
So let me hit on why the report matters to someone like me and to Wells Fargo. So I had the privilege of reading the report over the weekend, so I got an early copy, and there was several standout items in the report, data elements that allow us to stand on data. So as a leader, one of the most important things is that you want to be a facts-based leader. It's very critical. And as Anna described, like the importance of dispelling rumors or stereotypes or bias, one of the facts that really stood out was the geographic population of our Latino communities. And if you might have heard Charlie this morning on the big screen in the opening remarks, we had our CEO, Charlie Scharf, talk a little bit about how Wells Fargo understands that we serve communities. The products that Wells Fargo offers from a financial services perspective actually serve communities. And when you think about that cross-section, that intersection between Texas, California, Florida, New York, the states that were shown up on your heat map, those are also the states that not only is a Latin population and community thriving and growing, but it's also the states that happen to have our world's largest companies, our most profitable companies. And 9 out of 10 of those are tech. You have NVIDIA, you have Google, you have Meta, you have Apple. These are the companies in which now that intersection represents nothing but opportunity for our Latino community, for our familia. And I'll say one more thing, because when it matters to me, the report, so that's kind of the general broad business case for Wells Fargo, in a nutshell, but the opportunity that I just described is in fact one that we own as leaders. Because if we're sitting in seats and we're not recognizing the talent in our communities, if we're not opening doors and identifying Latino technology talent to come up the ranks, if we're not helping them, raising them up, lifting them up, pushing them up, then we're not doing our part. And so the opportunity for an employer, for a leader, for a manager is in fact that opportunity. So I read the report and I see nothing but opportunity. I see upside. I see value. I see profitability for companies, stakeholder value. I also see ability for our Latino community to create wealth, personal wealth for you and your family. That's the opportunity. Thank you, G.
Wow.
That's amazing.
So the one that I go to for tech advice, Nonny de la Peña. Nonny, same question about where you came from, but more importantly, as an institution of higher ed and #1 innovation school, but also as a leader in deep technologies like AI, XR, VR. If you haven't seen, you got to look up Nonny in LinkedIn and connect. And why is this report important? Why did you join me on this journey? Because I know there were moments where you were like, gee, I'm too busy, and then you're like, no, I'm not.
So first off, I just have to shout out to G because I've worked with a lot of different people before, and G's leadership was magical. So I just want to say how grateful I am that I've been able to work with Guillermo. I will just never forget what a wonderful, there were some moments. When you make a report like this, I'll just say briefly about myself. I have over a decade working with emerging technologies in all kinds of different ways. And I'm fairly well known for having the kid who started Oculus Rift that got bought by $3 billion for Facebook, now Meta. When we started out, he was crashed on my couch at Sundance and driving the truck around for me. It was the intern. Okay, so that's kind of give you a point of like where the level of which in the last decade, from where I started to where we are now. But beyond my personal journey, when you are representing a university like Arizona State, they are going to want to make sure at every level that if we're issuing a report with our name on it, this big and bold, that everything we're saying, that the data is accurate, that the messaging is accurate, and there were some interesting moments that I had, to go through some processes to triple, double, quadruple check. And I would have loved to have had a little more time to breathe through that process. But that is one thing I can say. When you get Arizona State behind you, it is like, it is like an airplane with turbojets, right? But they're going to make sure that everything, if you know about airplanes, they have to have, doubled. Every system has to be doubled up and checked, and that's kind of what this report was like. So I would say it's been really exciting, and to see a place like Arizona State University get involved in a Hispanic serving institution at a moment when I think of this kid on my couch, and I think of what AI, the explosion of AI, and the value to our community. I think that this report really gives people a key to the kingdom to understand what our opportunities are and how we can take advantage of it.
Awesome. Yeah. So for at least 5 years, I've been, and especially last year, and as you know, we I get texts from her at 3 in the morning and it's weird things, but I've been saying this is a light speed moment, right? This light speed moment of the intersection of technology, AI. We've never seen an adoption curve like we've seen with generative AI in the last 2 years. We've never seen the move of Latino, of a demographic like we have in the last, since you've been talking about this for the last 7 years. And I think we've trademarked this, but you've stated that if our parents and grandparents built the 5th largest economy in the world, imagine what we in this room, what our youth is going to do. Can you say more about that, given the intersection that I just mentioned?
Absolutely. So, this organization, Latino Donor Collaborative, is a think tank, and it was founded by the same founder as Latitude. We're different. We're a separate organization. We're a think tank, but it was really part of this visionary person that is called Sol Trujillo that came back from around the world, leading telecom companies, and said, the community is amazing. How come people don't know about it? And so what we've done is this report that shows, right, the trajectory of Latinos. We've been measuring it for 8 years, and Latinos grow tremendously, exactly as you're saying, G, the same as AI. I mean, it's this innovative community that people don't know much, that people are a little afraid of, exactly like AI, right? But it's this huge growth opportunity. AI and the Latino cohort are really that powerful, right? People need to know more about AI. People need to know more about Latinos and Latino youth, especially, as G was saying. So this Latinos, U.S. Latinos, if they were an economy by themselves, they would be the 5th largest economy. Imagine if the parents who were mostly immigrants came here with nothing. If those parents build the 5th largest economy in the world, imagine what their kids will do. Because those kids, first of all, are
now they're digital natives.
Now they're
right?
digital, but and even more, G, because first of all, 95% of them were born here. They're American. Mm-hmm. Their first language is English. So the handicaps, if you want to call them handicaps, but the lacks, if you may, of their parents don't exist for them, but they are as hungry and as dedicated and as committed to make their parents' sacrifices worth it. And so imagine what they will do. From the 5th largest economy of their parents, these kids are going to college. These kids are, much more assertive. By the way, you're going to see our report that we're releasing tomorrow, Latino Youth 2030. These kids they don't take no for an answer. They demand their place on the table. My generation was raised, as my friend Beatriz says, was calladita te ves más bonita, right? This generation doesn't take that. They are like, I want this, and this is wrong, and you're gonna give me what I deserve. We were doing this report that we're doing, it's an amazing report. You really, I hope you join us tomorrow. But we're doing this report with L'Oreal, Colgate-Palmolive, and other partners. And we were laughing behind the scenes because we were able to hear this kid saying, literally one kid was, so if you're gonna buy a computer today, yes, okay, great, what brands? Like, oh, Apple. Sorry, I shouldn't, okay, but anyway. And so we said, but that's the most expensive brand. It's like, yeah, but they have a Latino on the board. I have to support it. This kid was an underserved kid, 18 years old. He was going to college, and he thought he made his purchasing power process was that. And so imagine the brands that don't know this information, G. The brands that don't know it, they're going to really suffer because they're going to be like, why aren't they buying my product? Why? Because you missed the boat,
Well, I mean, that's why I kind of, I started using a PC, and I'm like, no, I got to go back to Mac. And not only that, because I'm sorry. But here's the thing. Right? So, for those of you, I was a CIO at Cisco, but one of my great friends is the CIO of Apple, Tim Campos.
Yeah.
Imagine that. A Latino is the CIO of the #1 valued company in the world. How about that? So, okay, moving right on. So, Christina, one of the things I mentioned was we think about this technology, it's AI, I need to be in a technical role, I need to be a coder, but the reality is where we see that, and you'll see this in the data shows is that actually AI is across almost every occupation. So if you're not programming the robot may program you. So if you think about that, and we look at business, occupations, can you maybe think about your business and how technology has impacted maybe some of your business, the occupations?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of things. First, I'll talk about workforce because, and if we tie it back to some of the data in the report, we have a very young Latino workforce. 25% of the population is young, and they have grown up on tech. Like this next generation of workforce that's going to enter the workforce, they don't think of AI as new adoption. They think about AI in terms of how they do their work. It's integrated into their skill set. That's a very different paradigm. So I think the workforce, first of all, transforms the value that we get to deliver from a technology perspective. It will touch all aspects. So when you talk about, is it just used in one vertical? No, it's used in every vertical. I think you talked about STEAM, right? Which I loved that acronym because the arts should be in there as well, especially like we think about like the beautiful art that Oszie put in this report. It is created by generative AI. That's incredible. And so I think about the way that this new workforce entering the market is going to be able to shape products and services. The innovation that's already demonstrated, Nonny gave a beautiful example of how innovation, they're solving problems differently. So the next generation of workforce thinks about problems differently. And a Latino worker, a Latino technician, and a Latino engineer is going to run in to solve the problems. We were just talking, Oszie and I, earlier today about how the work ethic that a Latino brings into the workforce in the U.S. population is very different. You can see it in some of the data in the report, like even the adoption of AI in Latino-owned businesses is double that of a white-owned business. So there's no fear in bringing AI or bringing the technology forward. I think the last thing that I'll just offer is in our personal business. So if I think about like our auto business at Wells Fargo, one of the investments that we laid down this year was to be able to actually think about models, so data models, that help us to expand how we see a customer who is credit worthy. It's all data. And we have to train those algorithms to ensure that we see you as a customer, because credit history is not just a FICO score. And so if our credit models are limited to just a FICO score, we're leaving money on the table. And so we have to see our customers with a larger data set. We have to incorporate those data sets into our credit policy. And that credit policy translates to pricing of products. And that technology allows us to advance and offer products that meet our community's needs. That's a really exciting proposition, and we've just started with that. So I can only imagine the opportunity that lies ahead in terms of profit and revenue to bring into the company and for our shareholders and for our customers.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I get very passionate about these topics. So Pablo's giving me you got to go to questions. But before I do, I want one lightning round from Nonny. Because one of the things that you see in here, we talk about the data report, but now we want to talk about how it impacts our culture, how it impacts, when I sent the report to print, the printer, he says, I'm almost done, but can I tell you something? He says, I'm not a Latino, but my wife is from Calexico. And therefore, my daughter is Latina. He says, I want her to read this report.
Oh, my God.
And I was just like,
That's exactly
right? And there's a story in the back that we decided to put in there about what's the future of Latino, where AI, the future of Latino is AI. Nonny, can you give us like 2 minutes on your perspective on, I mean, you're the example as well, but give me.
We hear people, right?
Maybe this. That one, what do you have to credit?
So we are the leading wave here, right? This is it. This is the group that is leading the wave to show the change. And when we're educating a young population to make them feel that they can. And I also just can't stop without calling out people like Ryat Yezbick and who worked on the report, and Jose, if you're here, and all these amazing people who were like, we're going to do this.
Michael Martinez, Samy Montechristo.
Thank you.
Right?
And the reason why that's important is that everybody who wrote on this report believed in what we were doing. It was a really incredible amount of work, but everybody was there on the weekends and late nights in a way that I almost never see with teens, and it's because we know that this is a pivotal moment. We are seeing this incredible technology that's emerging, and we got to make sure that we are educating all these kids so they can go out, get these jobs, and end up like CTOs like you. All right, thank you.
All right, so I think we're ready for how many people were? So by the way, for those of you on the stream, this room is packed here. Okay.
Room only.
They want, and by the way, they wanted to give us half of this room. We would have been sitting on.
They should know by now.
They should know by now.
So first question.
Caro, do you need this? Yep.
All right, Max.
This is from our LinkedIn Live. Latinos are driving into AI twice the rate of other groups. How can tech companies make sure that this talent is not just filling technical roles, but also moving into leadership?
Christina?
Yeah, can I take that one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I started one of my first responses with the accountability that we have as leaders in leadership roles when you are hiring team members. And one of the key things to answer this question is ensuring that we are removing bias. There was one aspect of the report that really stood out for me. It was an example that was shared illustrated in the last part of the report, where a recruiter who is Latino will see a Latino woman differently than a recruiter that is white or non-Latino. And I think that part of the answer lies in that we have to really think about the paradigms that protect the existing systems and challenge them. Like, the systems don't always generate the outputs that we want. If we want to see leaders who are Latino, we have to think about, do we have the pathways from recruitment all the way to tenure that allow for Latinos to rise? And it starts with that very first recruiting activity. And so that particular example resonated with me a lot. I also think that companies are starting now, and I'll just say this one quick thing so we can move to the next question, but companies now recognize that a four-year degree, a traditional four-year degree, is not the only entrant into a corporation from a technology perspective. What I would say is that every Latino who wants to enter tech has every opportunity to do so. You can self-skill. YouTube, there's free courses, MIT offer, we talked about those in the reports as well. There's so many opportunities.
Join a Conectado bootcamp.
Join a Conectado bootcamp. There's so many opportunities to get your hands dirty in tech. And I would close with just saying that a career in technology requires curiosity. And it requires that you're willing to jump out of comfort zone. I graduated with a degree in economics and computational math. I did not code to start. I learned to code in a war room when Wells Fargo was launching online banking in 1995, and we were taking calls from customers who had purchased Microsoft Money or Quicken at Best Buy and didn't know how to download their account information into their computers at home, like an actual PC. It's a very different mobile world today. Think about how much we've advanced. We have, at Wells Fargo, we have our Wells Fargo AI agent in Spanish. So it's just moved so fast over the last 20 plus years. But if you're not a curious individual, if you're not willing to push yourself out of comfort zone, then a career in tech is going to be difficult to attain no matter what the education path you take. Because you have to be willing to, in that example, I learned to code in that war room. I had somebody who was an architect who said, you're taking the calls, you're writing up the tickets, help us code them, we need to fix the tickets. And so I'm like, well, I don't code. But when you have a foundation of curiosity and you're willing to put in the time, sky's the limit.
I learned how to code using YouTube. That's how I learned C-sharp. I was taught through my YouTube.
This is what I'm saying.
Are we still on? Are we still going to? Okay, let's ask one more here, and then we'll go to the room.
So, with Latinos being such early adopters of AI, what do you think businesses should be doing to better connect with this growing market and leverage that momentum?
Nonny, do you want to maybe connect that?
Yeah, so come study with me. Come to Arizona State University, where I think we have more energy dedicated to this space. We've beat out places like MIT as being the #1 innovation university, in the United States. Our president is so fearless about embracing new technologies and making sure that we can teach them and serve populations like our communities and really help them move forward. So that is one of my biggest things. It's like, yes, we can go to YouTube, but also, frankly, places like ASU are doing such a fantastic job and are recruiting some of the best teachers. Come join us.
And I would say we have them in the back of the room there, our partners at UC Merced, who has about 58%, I'm going to maybe mess up the numbers a little, about 58% Latino at UC Merced. Yeah. And if you look at some of the recent reports voted in #1, and I'm not sure what category, but #1 in everything. And you'll hear more about that from Dr. Juan Munoz this afternoon. There's one question, and then we got to wrap up, right, in the room.
4 minutes. All right, split that one.
Right back there, he's been raising his hand.
Hello, my question is specifically for Nonny. So I love that you are putting on the emphasis in youth getting into the AI industry. I'm a student at ASU, and we were thrilled to wake up this morning with the news of the data that you just reported. So I just wanted to ask you, how can students at ASU and other emerging leaders in AI, such as myself, get into the industry, and what's the best route we can take?
So My mic can work. So I'd love to know what you're studying there, and I'm happy to spend some time with you afterwards, and then I can give you some really direct action. But I think for anybody who's watching, look around for your group. Check around for local organizations like Tecaria and groups like that. And I can certainly send you to some spaces to do that. And if you look in the report, we have groups that you can find affinity with, and you can find local chapters and get started there. If you can't find a course, I mean, obviously, I feel like ASU's been amazing. We've gone forward in many directions that you can go into the different engineering, you can go into the arts, you can go into business, you can go, and we have a campus-wide and worldwide connection with AI meetings and interested individuals. But for anybody who's not at ASU, and I'll talk to you afterwards, please look around for groups and organizations. They'll be on your campus, they'll be in your community. There are so many people who want to support your journey. So go find them and let them help you.
And I would just say, in the back of the report, in our conclusions and our recommendations, you'll see messages to the CEO, to the parents, to the students, You'll see messages there.
Recommendations.
And so those are going to be really.
And I just can't, I'm remiss in not mentioning also that people should take a look at Conectado, because that's their whole goal. So please, don't forget to check out Conectado as also an avenue that can help you get into AI and move on in your career.
Excellent. Well, we're getting to the end of this. Thank you for being here. This report and a lot of our reports you are able to download at LatinoDonorCollaborative.org. Again, please use them, share them, be ambassadors, because that's why the Latino Donor Collaborative exists, to create tools so that you can grow and make everybody around you grow. Thanks for being here. And before we close, I just want to thank my team. The Latino Donor Collaborative couldn't do this without the team and the staff of the Latino Donor Collaborative. So our team is here, several of them here. So please give me a round of applause for them.